Hey everyone, this is Stephanie with Overcoming Myself, and I am coming today with episode 4 for Thoughtful Tuesdays. This is a community that I am trying to, basically, it's a podcast that I'm trying to start where we come together and just discuss anything and everything that is like outside of the medical industry. So, more of a natural type viewpoint for healing and just overcoming disease and illness in general. Um, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2011. I have been medication free since the end of 2018 when I decided that I was going to use diet and lifestyle as a method instead of the medication. Um, I have not regretted it ever since, and I still stand very, very strong in my belief that I have made the right choice. Now, if you are on medications, that's okay. You to each his own, and that's really my motto here more than anything is that regardless of what you're doing, everybody is on their own journey and you are welcome to your own journey. I want us to all be respectful of our journeys. But just so that you are aware, this is a platform that I will be discussing things on a natural side of things and not on medication. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining. Again, this is Thoughtful Tuesdays. Today, we are going to be talking about the dietary protocols that are aimed at reducing multiple sclerosis symptoms and or promote healing. Just so that you are aware, I am not a dietitian or a doctor. I am a certified health coach, and I just really have dove deep into my own healing journey with diet and lifestyle, and then kind of took that extra step because I loved it so much and went through schooling with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in order to get that certification and just kind of broaden my information and knowledge of what kind of things were out there. And I can tell you, my mind has been blown in many, many, many ways. But anyway, I digress. Today, we are going to be discussing the Overcoming MS diet, which comes across as OMS, which is commonly mistaken for my tagline, which is Overcoming Myself. Don't confuse the two. I have nothing to do with the OMS diet. If you see OMS on my site, it simply stands for Overcoming Myself, not Overcoming MS diet. So don't confuse those two. So we're going to be discussing the OMS diet. We'll talk about medical medium. We'll talk about the best bet diet, Wall's protocol, and then I also threw in the AIP, which is the autoimmune protocol, just because multiple sclerosis is autoimmune. So I thought I'd throw it in there for good measure. All right. So again, I am not a dietitian or a doctor, so please definitely feel empowered to do your own research to determine the best course of action for yourself versus what I'm talking about. This is literally just I'm sharing my perception of what I've gathered and learned through my own means. All right, so for Overcoming MS diet, they believe that our immune system is mistakenly attacking the myelin sheath. It is primarily a plant-based diet that is low in fat, and they increase the omega-3 fatty acids. This is one of the only plans that actually allows gluten, and it's created by Dr. Swank, who found over a period of 34 years that MS patients following a diet low in saturated fat had dramatically better outcomes than those that did not. If you're following the OMS diet, you will need to eliminate dairy, baked food unless it's fat-free, snacks and sweets, unhealthy fats and oils, meat, seafood is allowed. Eliminate fried food, fast food, and egg yolks. So as you can see, those are all basically high fat things, fried things that all have to be eliminated. A little bit about medical medium. Many of you guys know that I actually followed the medical medium protocol for almost about 3 years. And medical medium talks about how our bodies are not attacking themselves, that MS is from the Epstein-Barr virus and a combination of that with toxic heavy metals. And so basically, it is a result of outside sources and that we can get rid of it. And so you get rid of it through food and supplement choices, which basically starves and kills the virus, and then some other aspects to remove toxins. It's very, very plant heavy, very, very low fat and protein, low protein. Um, Medical medium can be very supplement heavy. If you're following his protocols by the book, you can expect to be spending a lot in supplements. And that's not a gimmick sort of thing. It's more of just the fact that our stuff is so, first of all, we're sick and trying to heal. And secondly, our things are so depleted of the nutrients and stuff that we need. So it's just trying to get like the most bang for our buck and trying to heal as quickly as possible. But it can be very, very pricey. So for medical medium, you would eliminate eggs and dairy and gluten, corn, pork, soy, MSG, natural flavors, citric acid, canola, vegetable oils. And that's actually just to name a few. You do eliminate a lot with medical medium if you are following like all the different aspects. I would say that the main things, though, that's probably you'll hear a lot of people talk about with multiple sclerosis and just starving the virus, it would be eggs, dairy, and gluten, probably be the top three. But the longer that you understand and follow him, there is more to it than just those three as far as feeding the virus and whatnot. So it can get kind of it just there's a lot of different aspects and things to consider with medical medium. Because I did follow for so long, if anybody would like more information or help and guidance in that, I certainly am more than willing to help with that. I, at this point, am no longer consider myself somebody that follows the protocols of medical medium. Obviously, with the fact that I eat gluten and mill my own grains, that would kind of knock me out of that. So anyway, but I'm more than happy to help out if anybody would like more information in regards to that. The Best Bet Diet. So this was created by Matt Embry and his father. Matt was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I want to say it was shortly after high school. I don't remember the exact age that he was. But his father was a doctor who created the Best Bet diet, and Matt has been following that since 6 months since his diagnosis. And he said it took about 18 months for all of his symptoms to disappear, but he's gone, I think it's 20 plus years now, symptom free. So that they also believe that the immune system is mistakenly attacking our myelin sheath. It is very plant heavy, lean protein, and adds omega-3 fatty acids. And then it has some supplements that are suggested. Matt has created MS Hope. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Living Proof on Netflix was his documentary. But with his Best Bet diet, you would eliminate gluten, soy, and all legumes, which, by the way, a lot of people don't recognize that soy is a legume. And so if you see legumes on an elimination diet, that would need to include soy, because sometimes you'll just see legumes. So soy is a legume. All right, so eliminate soy and all legumes. Eliminate dairy. You would eliminate high sugar and artificial sweeteners, and any food that causes an allergic reaction. But in reading his information, I think that he also considers, like, if you notice food sensitivities as kind of like an allergic reaction type thing. So basically, if you are reacting, then you should eliminate it. Wall's protocol. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about Terry Walls. Dr. Terry Walls was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, and she found herself in a reclining wheelchair from severe weakness and fatigue. So, following her own protocol that she developed, she made a full recovery and has lived a very, very active life. I saw an interview with her recently, and she does say that if she goes off of her protocol, that she typically will get like a symptom kind of start to flare up again. And so she really still sticks very, very closely to her protocol. So she believes that MS is caused from malnourished cells, which cause cell malfunction. So basically, our cells have gone haywire because they are malnourished. It is her protocol is paleo. It's very plant heavy, high protein, low carb. In fact, she goes more into like ketosis, where ketosis is when you are using the fat instead of sugar for fuel. And so you have to, if you're doing keto, like true keto and ketosis, you really need to monitor that because it can be quite dangerous if you're not doing it properly. So in her diet, in the Walls protocol, you would be eliminating dairy, all grains, all legumes, and remember that includes soy, eggs, potatoes, and all processed and packaged foods, like 100% processed and packaged foods. One of the things about the Walls protocol that I think is like genius and very, very good is that she pushes having 9 cups of fruits and vegetables a day, or maybe it was just vegetables. I can't remember if that was specific or not, but it's 9 cups, and it might be vegetables actually. And she talks about like there's 3 different types, and you've got like the your leafy greens, and you've got your oh gosh, I'm having a memory lapse right now, but basically like your broccoli and stuff. And then you have the other types. And so you want to make sure to have like all those different types, and you're going to do 9 cups a day. So that's obviously a lot. I was doing that actually for a while. I find it much, much easier in the summertime when I can do smoothies and salads and not be so burnt out on them. But I really struggle with it in the wintertime, I'm not going to lie. So, but anyway, that is one of the things from her protocol that I try to carry with me is just having the 9 cups of fruits and vegetables. So anyway. And then that brings us to the autoimmune protocol, the AIP, which the AIP is an elimination diet is what that is. The autoimmune protocol believes that the immune system is attacking healthy cells. It's kind of a stricter version of paleo. It eliminates foods that cause the leaky gut or inflammatory responses. It was created by Dr. I think it's pronounced Ruscio. You would eliminate grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, nightshades, eggs, dairy, sugar, coffee and alcohol, oils, food additives, and all processed foods. So you would, that's almost everything. But you would eliminate all of those things, and then you would add them back in and find out which ones were bothering you. So that is the autoimmune protocol, is just trying to figure out what foods are triggering responses from your body. So if we were to put all of it together, we would avoid dairy, eggs, gluten, grains, legumes, alcohol, corn byproducts, soy, nightshades, caffeine, refined or processed sugars, food additives, natural flavors, artificial sweeteners, highly processed oils, like vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. So we would avoid all of that. So it's pretty extensive if you were to combine like all of the diets to make like the perfect one. So essentially, For myself, I just try to eat as natural as possible. But even in this, you're still taking out even more, like as far as like nightshades and stuff. I tend to believe that all fruits and vegetables are supposed to play a role in our life, with the exception of corn. And the only reason that corn is no longer a viable grain, which by the way, it is a grain, not a vegetable, is because it has been so genetically modified that it is no longer, our bodies are no longer able to process it the way that it was intended, because it has been just so genetically modified. Same thing with soy. So, but as far as like tomatoes and eggplant and things like that, I tend to believe that all fruits and vegetables are supposed to play a role to some for something, as far as healing or purpose or whatever in our nutrition. And so that's something that I have not cut out. And I did actually do that in an elimination diet. I did not personally find it to be very different. I didn't find anything really to make a difference to keep them out. So some of the things to think about when you think about all the different diets is that basically they all remove processed foods. They all remove pretty much highly processed or fast food or fried foods. They remove the processed foods. Beware of your packaged foods and read your labels. I've told you before, I try to stick to, I do get processed foods, I get packaged foods because I do not like to cook. I don't like to I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I don't like to spend a lot of time when it comes to dinner because I'm doing it in every other aspect. So I will be like, I typically will buy, a marinara or something that's like in a jar. But read your labels. Look for real food that's in them and not the additives, not the preservatives, not the words that you can't pronounce. Watch how much sugar is added. There shouldn't be any added sugar, quite honestly. So just try to get the stuff with real food, but just know that if it's coming in a jar, that means that it has gone through an assembly line. It's been cooked and sanitized, so to speak, so that it can go to your house. And so therefore it's going to have lost a lot of the nutrients had you made it yourself. So is it the least of, if you're going to buy processed foods, then, like I said, look at your labels, try to keep maybe 5 or less ingredients and know what they are, so that it's low processed, so it's the lesser of the evils. So another takeaway would be they all strongly encourage large consumption rather of fruits and vegetables, primarily vegetables, but and actually medical medium would be primarily fruit. I don't know, it's more of an equal with him, but lots and lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. Eat the rainbow. Try to eat the rainbow. All of them each remove inflammatory foods to some degree. So, an elimination diet is really, really helpful. I personally would encourage that you do an elimination diet versus doing the like blood test or hair test for sensitivities. Number one, I have heard of a lot of things that kind of, I don't necessarily trust the validity of them, because a lot of the tests that are done, there's just markers that are going on in our bodies that are there one day and not the next. And so I don't think that they're very accurate in that sense. But also, I've done 3 of them and they were all pretty expensive through functional doctors, and they were all different, every single one of them. So, at the same time, an elimination diet, you're really in tune with your body at that point. And I think that I feel like it's more accurate personally. And also your body will change what it tolerates and what it doesn't tolerate as you heal, as time goes on. So like what my body, the second year of me eating as clean as I was, did not tolerate very much at all, because it just did not. But by the third year, I was more leveled out and could tolerate different things. So, doing an elimination diet periodically is not a bad idea either, because what you might not have been able to tolerate a year ago, you might be able to today. So, saturated fats, high fats seem to be problematic. That seems to be throughout all of them. I will say for myself personally that I do a lot better when I am low fat. Which fats would be, butter, lard, pork, most oils, cheese. We are a society that focuses a lot on protein, all protein, even chicken. If you cook a chicken, you can see how much fat comes off of a chicken. But we are primarily focused on protein versus like the fruits and vegetables. And I think that it should be reversed. So if you're going to do anything, make your plate 80% fruits and vegetables and like 20% of the meat, or even better, 85-15. And really start, because your nutrients, your healing properties are going to come from your vegetables and your fruits, not your meat. Sorry, but it's not. And then omega-3s are important. So you can get your omega-3s through DHA and EPA supplements. Chia seeds. Chia seeds are actually a great way. I don't know if you guys have ever had chia pudding or not. I love chia pudding. But basically it's like a cup of milk. I use the nut milk, and then like 3 tablespoons, I think, of chia seeds. And then I put in some maple syrup, and it's really good. You leave that overnight and it thickens up like a pudding. And you can have that if you are a person that has fats in the morning. You can have it in the morning, or you can have it for an afternoon snack. You can have it for, in the dinner time if you have a sweet tooth, because it is sweet with the maple syrup. But anyway, another thing you can do with chia seeds is you can keep them on hand with a water bottle, because if you're out and about and you're starving and you either don't have time to find somewhere to eat, or there is nowhere that you can eat that is going to be beneficial for you, you can have those chia seeds in your water bottle and just take a shot of them. And it will actually, first of all, drinking the water will help satiate that hunger, but the chia seeds will actually satiate your hunger because of the omega-3 fatty acids. And you want to drink it though before it starts to congeal. So you just drink it with your water. You can also get omega-3s through salmon. Salmon's a really good source. Actually, seafood in general, there's a lot of good seafood options, but salmon is probably one of the best. And walnuts, which, by the way, if you're eating nuts like walnuts, soaking them is a really, really good way to help with of nutrition and digestion. I always recommend doing that. All right. So what about, like, for myself, what do I do? I've kind of talked a little bit about it. I do like all of it and none of it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I contribute my stability and continued improvement of symptoms such as like my bladder spasms, brain fog, severe fatigue, heat intolerance. I contribute that to strict dieting over the last several years. I think that anybody that does these protocols at all, if they were on the standard American diet beforehand, they are going to improve leaps and bounds. So like for me, the first year was I detoxed with high energy. So I'm sorry, that didn't make any sense. I experienced detox and high energy. The first year was a mixture between me feeling like complete shit and detoxing, and having super high energy and like feeling like I could run the world. The second year of eating really strict, I had some of my most extreme flares ever, and not flares that like sent me into the hospital. I'm talking about like bladder spasms, completely out of control. Incontinence was terrible. My fatigue was horrible. My heat intolerance was something else. It was just like everything was like amplified, and I just was not even sure. I was not even sure that I was doing the right thing at all. But I kept on going because they always say it's going to get worse before it gets better. And because that's exactly what's happening. When you stop doing what your body is used to doing, you're going to go through these phases where it basically is all of these nerves and everything, like it's just overactive, I guess you could say. So a lot of times it does get worse before it gets better. And that actually is what drought for me, because I freak out and off. And so where I might have been like on a really good fast healing track, I pretty much bring to a screeching halt because I have PTSD. I'm afraid that I'm doing more damage than good. So it's just been an ongoing journey, and I'm sure you guys can relate. um, so anyway, so then on the third year, I feel like I finally started to kind of level out. But again, that was when I started to incorporate, towards the end of the third year, is when I started to incorporate kind of my own things, and taking all of these different diets and taking bits and pieces of where I felt like my body needed. And this year, my symptoms have been very minimal thus far. I've been very, very stable. And so I still feel like I am on the right path. And as I said before, with milling my own grains and stuff, I really cannot wait to see how this year continues on. And I always, always, always do better in the in spring, summer time. And so I'm just excited to see what is going to happen this year and what I'm going to do. So I'm ready to live. So anyway, I've already talked about, so what I do is the fresh milled grains. You know that I do high quality protein like once a day. I usually do it for dinner time. I used to eat protein 3 times a day. And then when I started to learn that protein basically equaled fat, and how that much fat was terrible for my digestion and so on and so forth. And with following Medical Medium, I got to where I was hardly eating meat at all. And now I've come back to where I eat it about once a day, and it's usually dinner time. I eat very minimal processed foods, and I try to keep it on occasion. And I can see my screen is stuck. Oh, there we are. Sorry about that. And as far as dairy, I've kind of dabbled with that a little bit for the past month, but I am more focused right now on high quality than I am inflammatory, because none of these things, I'm not finding that it's really affecting me so much. But it's very, very important to me that I'm getting high quality foods, because it just is. I don't want to. So, for example, when I eat beef, I eat only grass-fed beef. When I eat chicken, I eat antibiotic-free, pasture-raised chicken. When I eat salmon, I eat wild-caught salmon. If I eat shrimp, I eat wild-caught shrimp. It's very, very important to me that I do that, because, first of all, whatever is getting transferred to you, right? That's the way that works. And I have not worked my ass off this to be contaminated in that form. So, but also, I just feel like the things that are not inflammatory to me, when I am not eating the high quality foods, that I actually notice more than anything. Digestion with my brain, like it. So it's been very important. And organic fruits and vegetables, I know that there is, like, people will fight to death as whether or not organic matters or not. I, again, just want to try to get more bang for my buck. They are not that much more expensive, and if you're ingesting them, to me, they're worth it. But Here's the other thing. I don't get everything. I don't worry about it all the time. So, for example, the things that I worry about as far as organic, first of all, there's a list called the Dirty Dozen. It is a list for each year of the ones that are the most heavily sprayed with pesticides. So that's a good thing to look at. And I would get organic for anything that's on that. Typically on that, you're going to see bell peppers, you're going to see strawberries. There's a couple of others that are on there on a regular basis. So something I keep in mind. So if it has a skin, I don't worry so much about it. So like, for example, bananas, oranges, pineapple, a watermelon. I don't worry so much about the organic portion of it, but I will not buy grapes if they're not organic. I will not buy strawberries if they're not organic. Berries and things like that. I just don't. I won't do it. They are so heavily sprayed with pesticides. I just won't. And I will say, if you're going to, which is totally cool, you do you, boo. But if you're going to do that, just make sure that you wash them really, really well. So anyway, all right. And then the other thing that I do is I make sure that I drink a lot of water, a lot of water. And I try to always make sure that I have some fresh squeezed lemon in that. So it makes it live. All right. So let's wrap this up. The question now is, which diet is for you? And my answer is, I have no idea. So you really would have to consider the criteria for each diet and determine what pulls you towards it. You might consider an elimination diet to determine which foods are problematic for you. I believe that each of these diets are valid and have helped many people. They have lots of testimonies to prove it. And heck, the removal of processed foods and most inflammatory foods in general would benefit everyone. So you probably do have a huge portion of people that were on the standard American diet, did any of these diets, and like 3 months later were running down the street where they were in a wheelchair the week before, because, just because they got off all that crap. I wish that was the case for me. That is not the case for me. But that kind of brings me into, I believe that your success with your healing time can be influenced by the level of MS that you've been diagnosed with. So, for example, I have PPMS, and those of us with PPMS, it might take us longer to heal than someone with RRMS. I'm really not sure, like, I don't know that necessarily the length of time of having MS, but, just basically our toxic overloads or whatever, everybody is different. Everybody is different. So if nothing else, I can't say don't give up. Pick any one of these and your quality of life will be 10 times better than if you remain on a standard American diet. I am actually considering putting together a class that is just an elimination type diet. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to see, like, I might put out a poll or something in the group and the Facebook, MS Facebook group, to see if anybody would be interested in something like that. For just the elimination diet purposes, like it would be like an 8-week course. And so anyway, if you need any additional support, please don't hesitate to go to my website and, do a free consultation to see if my health coaching style could benefit you. And then, of course, if you have any questions or you want to expand on this, or you have any ideas for next Tuesday or some Tuesday, remember, this is we're talking about anything and everything that has to do with natural things. So, I mean, we can talk about we can talk about supplements, we can talk about herbs, we can talk about energy healing, we can talk about crystals. We can talk about anything and everything that you guys want. We can talk about mindset. We can talk about, just throw your stuff at me. And let's just, make sure that we're having a open, safe conversation and learning new things, because you just never know what might help somebody. So Anyway, please like and share if you find my content interesting, helpful, or completely pointless. It doesn't really matter. You never know what will impact or save a life of those around you, right? So, and anyway, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you go. I've been averaging about 30 minutes. Right now, we're at 35 minutes, so I've gone over. And I imagine that as people start to get more involved, it might end up coming closer to like an hour, but I won't bore you guys that long tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And again, thank you for joining me for Thoughtful Tuesday. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much. It always did me forever.